Welcome, everyone, to the Vintage Super Qualifier for Strixhaven Split Championship. Hashtag Players Tour, hashtag Pro Tour, hashtag whatever we're trying to get queued for. At this point, I really don't know anymore. Yeah, so if you haven't seen yesterday's video, we played this exact 75 in a vintage challenge and placed third. Very, very happy with this version of PO. I call it 3-island PO. So it's an Esper PO deck, but you're cutting your Tundra for a third island, and you're not splashing as many white cards. You're only splashing Monastery Mentor and Balance. You're being more along the lines of wanting to fetch basic islands, so you're playing Preordains over more Night's Whispers, and you're playing things like Repeal instead of Teferi. In the sideboard, you can't really play Camball and Disenchant and those kind of things, so you are playing Fatal Push, Deluge, and an opposition agent for Doomsday. This deck's sweet. It performed really well yesterday. The only deck we really struggled against was Pyroblast decks, which is just what you expect when you play against, or when you play Paradoxical Outcome, you expect to have a problem with Pyroblast. Yeah, we have a Blightsteel, not a Sphinx of the Steel win, because it is really good against shops, where Sphinx of the Steel win has some problems with shops, namely Stonecoil Serpent. Oh no, the Ponder! I totally switched the Ponder out! No. I definitely remember switching the Ponder out yesterday. What happened? Magic Online. So let's just skip this event now. Come on now. It's too late. It's too late. Okay, maybe the old new border ponder is good luck or something. I don't know. Okay, round 1 PTQ versus Skew. I don't think I've ever played against Skew. What we got? It's laughing at me. It's just laughing at me. It's just laughing at me. All right, obviously no blue mana. Well, that's an interesting hand. I think I'm going to mulligan this hand. Even if we draw a PO, it's not good. I'm going to mulligan this hand. This is a much better hand. Keep. I'm going to bottom at least a land. Thinking about bottoming 2 lands is probably too greedy. Let's bottom like this. I got a mentor. Go. Don't trick people in my chat, Rafa. Stop it. Underground Sea, 7 cards. Mentor, not always the best against Underground Sea decks. Though, if it's bug. Oh. It's DPS? Question mark? It's either DPS or an interesting take on Doomsday. Oh, I could force and get a dude. But if I draw something to repeal, or they play, yeah, I'm gonna, I guess they could take repeal. That would be pretty greedy for them to do. I'm gonna let this resolve. Okay, so they didn't play anything post duress. That's a pretty decent draw. I attack with my Gray Ogre. Don't think I'm supposed to mental misstep this, assuming my opponent is on DPS. I guess any Dark Ritual. I feel like I have to misstep a Dark Ritual is what I'm trying to say. I'm looking. I do hope that opponent plays a Moxen so that maybe we can end of turn repeal the Moxen to get a card and a monk. No Moxen. Okay. I want to draw a Moxen then. Can I have a Moxen? A Vamp Tutor. Okay. Can do it now to get an extra damage in. Not 100% sure that that is better than just waiting and having the option to do other things. I think I'm gonna Vamp now. Oh, it is Doomsday with duress. We're in trouble. we are most certainly in trouble then. Nope. I don't have high expectations for this. I was hoping it was DPS, but Doomsday is going to be a challenge. Duress in Doomsday is a nice tech. It's very good. It's okay. We have our opposition agent in our sideboard, so we're ready. How many players? We ended up with 189 players, so 8 rounds, I think. Yes, 8 rounds. So I'm dead on board here if my opponent has a draw spell and knows how to build Doomsday piles. But we'll make sure that they have a draw spell. Highly likely, as they did resolve an Ancestral Recall this game. It's a bit unfortunate that I never ended up having a repeal target. I would have had a bit more damage if I had forced the duress. I guess that's a draw spell. And that's also a draw spell. Sure. Okay. I wonder if I had forced the duress, we would have gotten an extra damage in every turn. How many turns did we actually have, though? 2. They built a weird pile. A really weird pile. I think it's a lot simpler than they made it, but fine. Doomsday has always been a vintage deck, but not a very strong one. They just killed themselves. Did they not just kill themselves? Did they have 3 cards in library? Always play to your outs, I guess. Okay, well then, let's go to sideboard. Yes. I would recommend not doing that. I'm sorry, opponent. Jeez. That's crazy. What was I sideboarding here? Was I sideboarding Island Recall? It was an interesting line. It was an interesting line, to say the least. I can't believe that just happened. I think I was sideboarding Island Hercules here. Kind of don't remember, though. Not good, chat. Not good, sure. I was sideboarding Repeal. Hercules. Okay, I buy it. Always consult past Justin. Always consult past Justin. I mean, if you're going to pick up a deck blind, Doomsday might not be the best choice. This is a good hand. Thank you, Sanchez. Appreciate the continued support. Yeah. So I think what you need to do is read the Jacob is Boss Doomsday Guide. Link in chat. I actually don't have the link, but if someone wants to link it in chat, go for it. Yeah, our opponent did brainstorm with 2 cards left in the deck. That is how we won that game. Okay. If they go for Doomsday here, Necropotence. I was about to say, if they go for Doomsday with 3 cards in hand, I was going to let it resolve with Force plus Fluster. But I'm not going to let Necropotence resolve. That's a sweet draw, too. Maybe I'm holding this Gataxian Probe, then. Actually, I am. I'm going to hold this Gataxian Probe. as a force pitch target because this Merchant Scroll is going to get Ancestral. I actually hope they just go like Dark Ritual Doomsday here. I think I have an extremely high chance to win if they were to do that. Having Fluster Force and maybe even Ancestral, depending on what I draw for turn. Ponder. I think. Let's think. I have Ponder Fetchland here, which is quite good. I also could just probe them. I also have Merchant Scroll for Ancestral. I don't know if I want to run into Daze. I'm going to start with Probe. I have a pitch card for Force now, and I can just see what they're up to. Flusterstorm, Preordain, Vampiric Tutor. Interesting. All right, well, definitely not going to tap out for a Merchant Scroll here. That would be pretty bad. So I expect them to Vamp Tutor for Ancestral Recall. Maybe they're not going to do that. Interesting. They're not going to do that. Holding up Flusterstorm, sure. It's a lot of Preordain. I'm okay with this getting Flusterstormed. It's not the end of the world. If they Vamp here, I believe I would Flusterstorm it, just because I can't Flusterstorm an Ancestral if they were to Vamp for it. Two unknowns in their hand. Play this game patiently. No reason to jam into Flusterstorm on my turn. If they Vamp on this turn, I do think I don't care about it. And then I can go for an Ancestral on their turn with double Fluster. This hand is good specifically against what my opponent is playing. I would say that much. Okay, sure. That's another nice one. Don't have enough blue mana to play all my Flusterstorms. You love to see it. I don't believe I would stop a Vamp here. If they go for Ancestral, I have Misstep. If they go for Doomsday, it just resolves. I guess we could actually just counter Doomsday as a tempo play with all these Flusterstorms. I might not even let Doomsday resolve. I mean, it's pretty hard for them to ever have a pile that beats this, but at the same time, it's just a really strong tempo play to not. Interesting. So if I go Time Walk, Tinker, I lose to Fluster still. All right, so they did Vamp for Ancestral. Looks like they're going to try to get my whole stack with their fluster. But we should win that fight. Actually, I have a mana vault. How do they expect to beat us with a fluster here? Force of Will pitching Flusterstorm on the mental misstep. Interesting. Hmm. I really don't want to get my Time Walk flustered in this situation. But I also don't want them to have 3 cards. This could be very greedy of me. Okay. When it works, it works. Game. Yes, that did happen. Actually lethal. All right. That's a good way to start. We'll take the freebies when you get them. Talking about the little mistake in game 1, not the opponent themselves, obviously. We had a very strong hand in game 2. It's going to be pretty hard for our opponent to battle through the amount of fluster storms that we drew. So, yeah. Pretty happy with the start. Round 2, Vintage Super PTQ up against Swayji. Something. Last seen on Death and Taxes. Let's see if that holds true. This hand is kind of poor. Especially if they play Death and Taxes. I'm gonna put this back. This is just not what I'm looking for with, one of flex card that is good in exactly one matchup. One card that's good in half the matchups, multiple Mox Opals. Let's go once more again. This hand is better. Yeah, this hand's definitely better. The question becomes, are we supposed to play Remora on turn 1? And I don't believe the answer is yes. Because the reason is because if it resolves and doesn't do anything, say they play a land and pass, then I have to pay for it, and it's not super likely that I am able to have the mana to cast Merchant Scroll. And I would much rather just cast Merchant Scroll and get an Ancestral Recall. I could also just get Wastelanded, which would be pretty poor. So, yeah, I'm looking to go Underground Sea, Ruby, Merchant Scroll. My opponent's down to 5 cards. Ooh. I do think that getting Ancestral on turn 1 here is important. Playing the Opal now in case they play Cavern Thalia. Oh, please don't play Cavern Archon. It's quite the mulligan to 5. All right, sweet. the Remora the Remora would have been fairly good against triple Mox draw out of mono white, but unfortunately it needs to go. Let's start with Ancestral Recall targeting myself. Missed on... Huh. So I'm going to fetch another Underground Sea, and the reason I'm going to do that is because if I Yogwill next turn, I want to be able to get my fetch land back out of my graveyard and cast Ancestral. I don't believe I can keep these. As much as I'd like to get a Tinker. Okay. They have 1 card left in hand, so they have to have like another Archon. Fair. Fair. All right. This Yogwill has been turned off. Vamp. Can vamp on their turn? What am I vamping for? Repeal? Probably something. I don't have very many good ways to deal with Archon in game 1. But repeal end of turn is pretty reasonable. That makes repeal pretty bad. I'm certainly sad that I'm not in my Esper configuration. Oh boy, we are lagging. So, unfortunately, Mentor not fantastic here, as I don't have white mana. Snapcaster, dead draw. If they play a second Archon, we look really silly getting repeal. I just have very few ways to win this game. Just in my main board configuration versus this kind of deck. It is what it is. That's how I built the deck for this weekend. I'm gonna go for end step repeal on this Archon, and then I don't know what I'm doing after that, right? If I repeal the Archon, 5 mana, I can go Yogwill, crack, repeal on the Spirit, but is that even going to be enough? Kind of depends on what I repeal into, doesn't it? Yeah, this was a really strong mulligan from my Hate Bears opponent. Didn't draw, like, kept exactly the number of lands they needed and had a bunch of the best Hate Bears, so we countered the first Archon. The second Archon was a problem. All right, so I still draw a card off this repeal because it is their turn. Mox Opal is not a very good draw. Unless I draw a Moxen for turn, and then it's a fine draw. Moxen for turn, off-color Moxen for turn would be pretty good, because then I can cycle the Opals, and I can replay them off of Will. That's a terrible draw, though. So if I Yogg Will, and I bring a fetch land back, I have 3 lands, so then I repeal targeting this Spirit of the Labyrinth, and I have to hope that I hit a Moxen so that I can continue playing spells for the turn. But I don't have other choices, so that's where we're at. This game might just be over after this Yogg Will. There's not much I can do about it. It's kind of what I signed up for, building this configuration with no mainboard removal. Though, I can resolve an Ancestral if I do hit a Moxen. I don't think I was supposed to fetch Tundra. I was probably supposed to fetch Basic Island. All right. I think that's just game. Pretty unfortunate. Normally drawing all these lands is nice, but we drew one too many, and 1 short on Moxen. If only we had another blue card, we could force the Archon when it comes down. Maybe they'll play Spirit instead. Even then, this Luminarch should probably kill us. Yeah, the cards were not ordered correctly for us to take this win. Even though we resolved an Ancestral. Yeah, just jams an Archon. Can I still win? No, I cannot. All right. Post board, we get some help. We get Deluge and Pushes and Balance and Blightsteel, and we get to take out Remora, Fluster, Misstep, Hercules. Oh, this is the no cavern list? That's so crazy to me. 3 Mindbreak Traps, 2 Kataki, and a Stony Silence. 4 Path to Exile. I wonder if we're not supposed to bring in Blightsteel. And 4 Relic Warder. Alright, maybe this Blightsteel's actually horrible. This Blightsteel might just be unplayable, actually. No, it is not open deck list. I'm looking at their last published mono white list. I'm just going to bring in a 3-2. Bringing in a 3-2 is really suspect as well, but none of these other cards do anything. Yeah, I'm just not really set up to beat it, though. It can totally beat me. Yeah, but they're not going to board out Relic Warder. Yeah, I don't think the Blightsteel is very good here. Tabernacle is just not good against creature decks in Vintage. It's you only bring it in against Dredge. It slows them down, but that's not good enough. Like, if I had played a Tabernacle in that game, would it have done anything? No. We get to bring in 4 removal spells, which is a good amount. And we're still the more explosive deck, as witnessed by this hand right here, where I'm playing turn 1 Tinker. only lose to double mind break trap. I guess I can totally brick as well, but this is certainly an instance where you would want to have a light steal, but this is the kind of hand you want to see in game 1, because losing game 1 puts you on the draw in game 3. Do I play around mind break trap? No. Exclamation mark my MBT. We also have force of will, so we could get mental misstepped, chat. That could totally happen. Relic order, relic. Sorry. I'm gonna tinker for a top, and then we can't brick, and we have 16 more life to go. My opponent said very strong. I agree with. I would not like to give my opponent another turn. So you can choose to do this in Vintage, but instead you registered basic planes? Come on, opponent. what are you doing? you can do this. This way, this way, this way. Can't tilt my hands like this. Yeah, I don't want to show them that I have Toxic Deluge in my deck. Yeah, for sure, Matt. I just needed to vent on that one because it's been bugging me because it's not the first person who said it. So I'm actually a little conflicted about it because I basically just like appealed to my echo chamber to make me feel better, which I don't think is a very healthy thing to do. But it did feel good. But so yeah, I'm like actually like really conflicted. I kind of wish I hadn't tweeted it. I don't really think it's a good thing to be doing, but I don't know. Not sure. My echo chamber's there to be. I mean, kind of. This hand is gonna get me killed, is it not? I'm not. You can't really mulligan this hand, but it also. I feel like it's going to lose horribly. My opponent plays Thalia or Archon on turn 1 here. What's my course of action? Land Mana Crypt. It's a hard hand to put back. It really is. It has a lot of the tools you're looking for. I really don't know. Really don't know. I'm pretty sure this is a keep, and it has a lot of the tools to fight a lot of the things that the opponent is trying to do. It's got fast mana. It's got multiple lands. It has a bounce spell. It has tutors. I see. Okay. Okay. New question becomes: are we supposed to play an Underground Sea? I want to play Misty Mana Crypt, but I also want to be able to vamp on their turn. I'm gonna go Basic Island. I guess I can still go for Vamp depending on what happens this turn. I assume this is a Thalia. Okay, it's not a Thalia. It's a Spirit of the Labyrinth. So I can go for a Tinker here. I can go end of turn, repeal the Deafening Silence, upkeep, Vamp for Tinker. They have to not have Mindbreak Trap. I could vamp for Mentor. I can vamp for anything I want. Wow. Can I scroll? Can I Fatal Push, scroll for Force, vamp for Tinker? I kinda think I can. I guess I guess if I just put the Tinker first and just don't care about my land drop, I can play around Mindbreak Trap anyways. Hmm. I guess that's probably better. Yeah, I like that line. I see. Never mind. Never mind. All right, Fatal Push this thing. Probe my opponent. They have nothing of value for right now. Pearl, Lotus, blue mana, scroll, ancestral. Target me. It's a little risky, but it's definitely worth it. This is an interesting one. I already played my land drop. What do they have in hand? Archon, Containment Priest, Deafening Silence. I don't have an opal or a sapphire, so I can't guarantee my PO will give me a blue source. We do not have Blightsteel in our deck because our opponent has four Lilionian Relic Warder and some number of Path to Exile. I still think we're supposed to go for a Citadel here. Off of the vault. Yeah, I think we are. Huh. That's a really good draw. Think I want to just put the PO back and draw 2 with it? Maybe? I think all roads lead to victory here. I just don't know what is technically the strongest. Maybe it's just put back Preordain. And then draw through the... Yeah, I'm gonna go Preordain. And then cast Preordain, drawing Force of Will. And then cast Preordain and bottoming lands. And then top, sure. Alright, game. Did I just bottom a bunch of lands? Alright, there we go. Imagine registering basic planes. Can't be me. Let's go! Ah, PO. You love to see it. All right, here we are. Chat, round 3. Vintage Super Qualifier. Probably Jeskai, but could play something else. Definitely has a range. I think this one's actually a keep. I know I mulliganed a similar hand to this before. But this one is slightly better and has the ability to spin this top and try to find some action. Has the ability to replay action. Pretty decent hand against Jeskai. I'm willing to keep this hand. This hand is definitely better than the other double opal hand that we mulliganed. I believe we also knew what the opponent was on the last time, so. This is definitely a close hand that you could definitely throw away. I'm not gonna throw this away. I'm gonna keep this. I have 6 looks for good cards, and if say I find an ancestral, right, and then I have two opportunities to play the ancestral. I have the ability. Oh, I guess if I play around Wasteland, I don't have 6 looks. I don't believe I'll play around Wasteland just so I can get extra looks. If top spins into like Ancestral or Tinker or Night's Whisper, most like non-PO cards. But it's definitely a hand that you can debate keeping. Not gonna spin now. Spin there and up. Powerful line, Ramses. A powerful line. A powerful line. All right, Scalding Tarn go. I also like. I believe this hand is fairly good against Jeskai, and I put my opponent on Jeskai most of the time. This opponent in particular. I see. Okay. Guess we're casting a Citadel. I'm gonna play the Opal to play around Days. Guess I should have floated blue. Ah, I forgot to float the mana. I'm really bad. If I get Days, I'm gonna be really sad. Ah, I forgot about the Metalcraft. All right, that's a punt. See if it pays off. No. If I Daze, it's just my own fault for being bad. I completely just forgot about Metalcraft. It's okay, they had Force. But I don't get to spin this turn, which is quite poor. No, it was just a bad play. So they are on Jeskai. They have Ancestral plus Force. Gonna be a tough game. Also have Lotus. I'm gonna do a blind draw here just to give myself. Yeah, I'm gonna do a blind draw here. A really good draw. So we need 1, 2, 3 mana to cast it. 1 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana. I can just run it back. Now I lose to Fluster. But definitely going for it. Let me just recount my mana. 1 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana. Yeah, I will flash back my Bolas' Citadel. Why not? Should have probably left the Opal on. Will more powerful than Breach confirmed. Can you flash back this Bolas Citadel on 4 cards? Wasn't the strongest play I've ever made. All right, looks like they have a counter spell. Unfortunate. Yeah, this is gonna be a tough game. I mean, if they have Double Force and Ancestral, it's pretty hard to win. It wasn't even like none of my spells were Pyroblastable either, so it's a pretty strong keep from my standpoint. Nope. Still a playable game, but my opponent has 6 cards in hand and I have 0, and they're not behind on mana by very much. I think this Flusterstorm is quite bad. They are gonna Ancestral again, so I guess we don't really have much of a chance. And the minute they Pyroblast us. Sanctuary is too broken and so good. But I guess the real thing is like they just had an ancestral hand, right? So if I draw into Time Walk and then play Time Walk, we're not really getting anywhere. And even if we draw Tinker, it's not very good. Spin, look deeper. Vamp. The problem is they're going to draw 3 more cards. They're going to draw another counter spell. I don't really know what to do. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere. Kind of want to put one more, like a PO on the stack. But vamping is just not going to help. Because if I draw vamp for next turn and I vamp, I would have to vamp and then use my top. If I go for snap Yogwill, it's short. I'm good here. Let's just go to game 2. I was pretty happy with that keep, and we put 2 Citadels on the stack. Turn 2 and turn 3. So maybe we're supposed to play it out and find out if my opponent is on Breach, but I'm pretty sure they're on Jeskai. Believe this is how I boarded versus Jeskai. Let's consult past Justin. I boarded in Push, Fluster, and boarded out Opal, Island, Hercules, Mystical. I also boarded in the opposition agent because it's a 3/2. Interesting. Opal, Island, Hercules, Mystical. Okay, that's fine. I like this board. I'm okay with that. Let's do it again. Yes. Keep. Ooh. 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 Keep. Heck yeah. Underground Sea, Remora, Lotus, Mentor, Force Backup, Opal, Trigger. I'm a fan. Definitely a good hand versus Jeskai. Ooh. Burning, not concerning with them. Oh, they just have nothing? Big fan. Would have nothing again. It's the wrong way. I mean, that's what happens in Vintage. Your deck has a lot of 1-ofs in it. PO is one of the most 1-ofs of any deck in Vintage. So you end up with some really high variance between keeps. Definitely paying for this. Hopefully we'll draw a Moxen or a blue card. Yeah. We're gonna have to drop our Remora next turn, and we weren't able to do much with it, but resolve the Mentor, stop them from casting spells. So Sprite Dragon. I'm interested in forcing this just because tempo play. Also, we can't. I mean, we do have pushes in our deck. I wonder if they are on Breach then. I'm gonna force it though. If they want to, get their Sprite Dragon in play, they have to play through the Remora. So yeah, let's see if we can hit a Mox off of this Ponder. I'd like to see Mox PO would be what I like to see. Ancestral Citadel. Interesting. It's definitely a bottom to Citadel, but is it a keep an Ancestral? Probably. It's hard to say no to that. And health. Probe. All right, F6. Show me what you got. I like it. Or don't show me what you got. Both work. All right, let's just run this back. I'm pretty happy with this configuration. Another hand like that, I would keep. Please and thank you. That's definitely how you beat Jeskai, though. I don't think it's fair. They got to look at my hand. Why don't I get to look at their hand? You can definitely bring Soul Guide in. I'm not a huge fan. Unless we're putting them on Breach, I guess. If we're putting them on Breach, then I would bring in Soul Guide. With Sprite Dragon, is that confirmed Breach? Possible. Could just be Jeskai with Sprite Dragons. I wonder if we see Sprite Dragon, if we're supposed to bring in more removal. It's a great hand. Every time. It's the Ruby representing Ancestral Pyroblast that always gets me. I do want to play this Mana Crypt as it plays around Lavinia. Also helps me pay for a Flusterstorm if they choose not to cast anything. I could choose to preordain right now. Don't want to, though. Don't want to give them uses of their mana on my turn. There's something to be said about Ancestraling and Upkeep here, as it does beat Flusterstorm. Loses the Pyroblast. But I think there's a lot of value here. Especially... we had more Moxen, it would be better, because then I could untap and PO on my turn, but... I'm going to Ancestral on their upkeep, targeting myself. We beat Fluster, we lose the Pyro. Do we force the Pyro? That's the real question. We now lose the Fluster. But we do have a PO that's kind of dead right now. It's pretty reasonable. Yeah, I like forcing the issue here. They have Pyro Fluster, so be it. They did not. We drew another Force. We drew a Narset, Sapphire. Beautiful. Loving it. Win a flip. So we know they don't have a Fluster. They could have Negation. They could have another Pyro. I still am interested in casting this Narset, even though I don't have Flusterstorm backup. But we could also just preordain and try to find a black source, which might be better. I actually think that is second thought makes me like this preordain play slightly better. Second preordain. Am I weird to want to bottom that? I think it's fine. It's a little awkward to be bottoming this, but our hand is so good and I just want to cast my spells. This is also a blue card that pitches to Force. I think this is a bottom. Nice. I think I'm going to try to get this Scalding Tarn with the agent instead of casting Night's Whisper here. Maybe that's like really greedy. I could see that being too greedy. Dak. I think I'm going to force pitch Fluster. And then if they crack, I can get them with an agent. Or I could just force pitch Narset because I have a Night's Whisper back up. And then I still have Fluster and I can't really got. That's probably fine. It's close. It's really close. Because Narset's a good untapped play. I think it's okay to pitch this Fluster. So the question becomes, am I still playing an agent at the end of the turn here? I think the answer is yes. Just utilizing our mana most efficiently. It's unfortunate we can't get them, but we're going to lead with Night's Whisper here, as it's the Flusterstormable spell. Also, we could draw into another Flusterstorm ourselves. Interesting. The question would be playing around Mindbreak Trap and Daze. Just playing this land plays around Daze. So, yeah, I'm interested in just playing this land and playing around both. We don't get to use our mana super efficiently, but these can both wait. Okay, they're done. Sweet. We beat Jeskai. I'm kind of I'm just kind of sitting here in shock. That hand, both our game 2 and 3 hands were quite good against Jeskai. Just quite good hands overall. So roll a little high sometimes. Okay, chat. Round 4, Vintage Super PTQ. We're playing against House of Mana on Bug. Let's see what we can do. I think our Bug matchup is pretty playable. Yeah, this is a hand. Keep. I do need this not to get misstepped. But we can vamp for a Tinker, and then we might even be able to snap Tinker if it fails. Collector Roof on turn 1 would be slightly problematic, but we do have an Academy. It's possible that vamping for Ancestral is stronger because we have Snapcaster. Gotta do the math. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So I can Tinker, Snap, Tinker. So the problem with Tinker is it can get negated, and they do play a negation in their deck. Whereas Ancestral, I would just cast on their turn. I could also just go for Pio and just Pio on their turn. Pio plays around Fluster a little worse. And I can't just snap Pio right away. So we have choices. We definitely have choices here. We could also theoretically go Vamp for Mentor and then go Snap Vamp. Is also a line we can choose to do. We have a lot of choices here. They do have the turn 1 Collector Roof. So what is that going to mean for us? I think what that means is we go for Ancestral, and then we can snap Ancestral in combat versus Collector Roof. Because we are only going to have 4 mana. We're no longer going to have colored mana either. Only blue mana. Or, sorry, white or black mana. So, Ancestral looks like the place to be. Yeah, let's go with Ancestral. I'm not going to cast it on my turn, so I don't want to run it into a negation. I'm going to cast it on their upkeep with them tapped to just a tropical island. All right, so hopefully they don't wasteland us and they just go to combat. Unfortunate. Oh, they went to combat before wastelanding us? That's so good. Oh, wow, that's so good for us. That was a really bold play from the opponent. We can get our Ancestral dazed, but it's very likely that this Snapcaster resolves and blocks and kills this Collector Roof. That is wild. All right, I'm going to try to Ancestral again. I resolved. I block the Collector Roof. It dies. Yeah, that's really good for us. I think opponent played this probably not ideal. But they also not a super vintage player, so powerful wizard though. So they probably they still have to wasteland this more than likely. And they don't have access to black mana. So what's their best play? Oh, they're just gonna go for their own ancestral. Fair. It's gonna resolve. I guess I can brainstorm now. Oh, they're gonna go for it on my turn. Okay. I don't know if I would have waited till my turn because this lets me hard cast a Force of Will. I probably would have cast this on their turn. I am going to brainstorm, even though I lose some value on my brainstorm, just because I think this game is going to end very quickly if this ancestral gets countered. Interesting. I'm gonna let this resolve because the PO gets so much value by continuing through here. Definitely crack this away. I'm gonna try to find a Flusterstorm though. We have 2 in our deck. Before I cast this PO, or maybe I might even cast the PO on their turn. We'll have to see. Another PO. Well, now I can just cast multiple POs. So I guess we still have the ability to preordain. So let's do that. Mental misstep. Don't care about that at this point. Okay. Okay, this could get mental misstep. That would be okay with me. So if they could, I guess they could have 2 forces now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. Sorry, 5, 8. Actually, you can't beat a daze on the second one, which is kind of problematic if this gets misstepped. So if this gets misstepped and then they force my PO and then they daze my other PO, that would be not great. Make black off of this. Now I have 9 mana though, so now I'm okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the other one is 7. See if they found a force. They did. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Leaving blue is my last. Now they have to have another force. They did find 2 forces. So the game continues. Let's spin. So I'm gonna leave this Tarn on top because it's gonna let me play the Citadel. I guess if we get Collector, if we can't. I think that's better than leaving Repeal. No, I guess leaving Repeal on top is slightly better. Leave Repeal on top. Oh, I guess we're gonna draw the top no matter what. Okay, so this is actually worse. Because the top is now on top. Well, if my PO in response to the force resolves, what does that do then? The first one's gonna draw 0. Are they just electing to not? Okay. I was gonna say. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna play a top, and then I'm going to repeal my top with the trigger on the stack, or with the activation ability on the stack. And then 1, 2. Oh, I guess now I'm playing into days again. So I'm not actually comfortable to doing that. We've played around days this whole game. I guess they didn't have a days before the ancestral because our ancestral resolved. And then they drew 2 forces, and they pitched a Daze. I guess we can actually play into Daze then. Highly unlikely they have a second Daze. They had another force. I mean, we could have played around that by waiting. I didn't expect a third force. They're just going to jam a Leovold now. Maybe we lose this game because I played too greedy. Demonic for what? Not for answer Cruise, I guess. Cruise? Cruise makes sense. Yeah, I think Cruise. Probably. I think I played this game very badly. If I just waited for this fluster. Interesting. Or if I had repealed the Opal and not drawn an extra card, but then I wouldn't have had the fluster. So it doesn't really work. What's up, CMR? Appreciate it. 7 months. I kind of just thought the game was locked up and I just was playing the quickest route to victory. I did not suspect that my opponent would have triple Force of Will after having no Force of Wills. So now I assume that they actually demonic tutored for Leovold. And our top actually has to find something good on it, on top of it. There's a lot of hits at this point in the game, but like that's a good one. And by that's a good one, I mean that's very lethal. All right. Academy and a new Opal and do do blue, white, blue, Theo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. PO. Demonic. This is not like optimal order, but it's okay. Demonic. Mentor. Hercles myself. Replay everything. Vamp for Time Walk. Draw into Time Walk. Time Walk kill them. Okay, I think I played that game very poorly, but our draw was so powerful that it didn't matter. But if I could go back in time, I would play that game very differently. All right, so we don't bring in Blight. No, we do bring in Blightsteel. We don't. We bring in Deluge, Agent, Pushes, and Balance, and we take out Opal, Pio, Hercules, Remora, Narset, and Flusterstorm is, I believe, what we do. Fluster. Let's take out 2 Flusters. So I didn't take out a PO. I would like to leave 1 Fluster in. Did I change it later? No. All right. Yeah, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to take out one PO and leave 1 Fluster in. Like this. This looks good. Run it back. I just didn't really consider the possibility of 3 Force of Wills after that turn happened. Probably, let's think about this. It seems unlikely, but they could have also have had like 1 negation when I resolved the Ancestral and then drew into 2 Force of Wills, which is pretty reasonable to say could have happened. So I think it was just a pretty big miscalculation on my end. This hand looks poor. This hand, I believe, should be mulliganed. Mana is super important in this matchup, and having my Tundra as my only land, even though I have an Ancestral, it's a tough call. It is a tough call. It's a really tough call. This kind of feels like an Ancestral bait, though. Though the Fatal Push is great in the matchup. It might be just... I have another blue spell that I can cast. I could also be able to repeal. I have a removal spell. I have two different ways, or one strong win condition and one agent. I think I'm going to keep this on the draw. On the play, I'm not sure that I would keep it, but on the draw, I believe it's fine. Another Mox in hand. Scroll for PO, or scroll for Ancestral. Okay. I'm looking for some Moxen of my own. That's a good one. I'm kind of interested in... I'm interested in just Ancestraling now. The problem is the daze and the negation make it a kind of a suspect line. So maybe the play is to just Mana Vault, but I'd like to do things before they cast their Ancestral. Obviously, I can overdraw a lot with my Ancestral here, but also if I hit a Moxen, then I don't overdraw at all. I'm gonna jam the Ancestral into the one negation, one daze that my opponent could possibly have. It's greedy, but I think that's what I want to go with this game. All right, they had a Force. So they had Force, blue card, Ancestral, plus 2 more. All right. So they get to untap an Ancestral here. It's going to be a tough game. Okay. A Wasteland is the worst possible outcome. Looks like they have Deathrite Wasteland then. Nope, didn't have Wasteland. That's good for me. I don't think we could have beat a Wasteland there. We would have had to top deck pretty well. Another Deathrite, maybe? Yeah, okay. So we could still top deck on Mox and Tinker here. Didn't do that. I feel priced into brainstorming. Just because of the board and the way we're at right now. It's another risky... These are basically the 2 riskiest lines we could have taken. Ancestral into Brainstorm. But I feel like it's worth it. Wow. That's bad. Yeah. This does not turn out the way we wanted it to. It's still not end of the game because we can untap and play a Mana Vault and then untap and try to Tinker. So the game is not over yet, but we're not in a great spot. We're also going to have a pretty low life total when we go for Tinker Citadel because we have to go for Tinker Citadel because we don't have a Blight Steel because we're going to draw it. All right, we don't even have our Force backup now. Yeah, we took the riskiest lines in this game. The keep was fairly risky as well. We could have just drawn a land off the top, and the keep, I think, would have been very, very good. So there's a little push and pull. We low rolled on our top 4 cards for sure. No attack, no activate. Okay. Mystic Sanctuary back Ancestral Recall. That's problematic. There's a Mystic Sanctuary in this bug list. I think we were like pretty close to winning this game with my opponent having 1 card left in hand and Tinker for Citadel still happening, but Brainstorm into Ancestral is not great. So this must be the Bullwinkle Zoomer list, right? Burrow and Sanctuary. So there are no wastelands in this deck, is what I would assume. I gotta go look at the Zoomer list. Not the Bullwinkle list, sorry. The other one. The Wombo list. Well, I guess it might be the Bullwinkle list, because Bullwinkle had a list like this as well. But it's more like, oh no, it's not the Wombo list has Wastelands and Sanctuary. We saw Wasteland game 1, so it just has 4 Wastelands and a Sanctuary. Wow, okay. I didn't see that coming. My opponent has Hardcast Force, which is bad for me. I'm just gonna jam Tinker and see if they have nothing. They confirmed did not have nothing. All right, well, they're out of lands in their yard. Oh, boy. Okay. If we draw a black source, this game might still be playable. Unless they gush. If they gush, it's pretty bad. Okay. Can I get a land? Not exactly. We're still battling. Uh-oh. Oh, it's just eat. Okay, eat's fine. I mean, eat's not exactly fine, but it's not the end of the world. Yet. Oh, demonic. That's gotta be game. I guess you would get Gush. Gush back your Sanctuary. Sanctuary Ancestral. Could just get Wasteland. Played a land drop for turn. Went for Narset. Interesting. Found a library. Pretty good. I'm not sure that would be the line I would take. Not a bad line, though. Narset's pretty good against my deck. Finally found our land. Gonna time walk to start here. Gonna try to get this Flooded Strand, hopefully. Like a Mox or a land, and then... Ooh. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay, let's go to the next step. This could be winnable. Oh, didn't fetch. That's unfortunate. I was hoping they would fetch. Okay. Three wastelands and a strip mine. That zip file failed. Whee. All right, I'd like your Underground Sea. Thank you. No, I have no dig in my list. Surprised I didn't just draw all the cards. Gataxian Probe. Okay. They find dig through time. It's a good one. Could I theoretically counter this? No. Even if I vamp and drew, I can't get a fluster that big. No, I'm only doing the searching of their library, not the looking of their hand. At least on Magic Online. So I have their Underground Sea, and I have a Tutor, and I have a Push. We have things to work with, but it's not great. Wasteland is a problem for me. Wasteland is a problem. Yeah. Let's vamp. I should be able to see their hand. I'm definitely not able to see their hand. So, file for comp. Okay, so we're not going to have 3 mana anymore. So, we are not really able to go for Mentor. We are also not able to go for Yogwill because we don't have 3 mana. We don't have the ability to go for double push to kill Narset because we're going to lose our second Underground Sea. We can't draw extra cards because of Narset. What can we do? Balance is not the strongest play because it does hit their lands. No, we're getting Wastelanded, chat. We cannot cast Yogwill. We're gonna have 2 lands when we get to our turn. Kind of rules out a lot of the stuff. We can't repeal the other Deathrite because we're gonna have to use 1 push to do that. These vamps are brutal. Maybe we're just supposed to get Yogwill as it's our best way to win the game. And we'll try to find another mana some other way. We could technically balance here. It would kill 3 of their lands, 1 Deathrite Shaman, and maybe 1 card out of their hand. It's not bad. And then they have to lose a Deathrite Shaman to protect Narset. It's kind of feasible. Which has a counter spell. Okay. Will they sack both of these Deathrites? Or both of these Deathrite? I guess they would just double block. So we can't even attack through this turn. It's really not great for me. Okay. And they have an active library, which is problematic. And we're at 11. Yeah, this is looking really bad. This is game 2, so we get to play game 3 still. I don't even think the balance was super good, so I wasn't thrilled, but you get to see their whole postboard configuration. 1 Vigor, 2 Leovold, 2 Oko, 1 Oof in the 75. Only 1 Collector Oof in the entire 75. It's actually more of a I hate to use the word, but it's more of a Xeroxy bug build. All right, you got me. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. On the play, don't think we're bringing in Lantern, but if there's only one Vigor and one Collector Oof, I actually think the idea of taking out Opal and Paradoxical Outcome is bad. And Fluster gets a little bit better. 2 Okos, 1 Vigor. I wonder what else I can cut, though. I can almost not play Blightsteel. They actually don't have answers to Citadel. They have 1 Vigor and no decay, no trophies. So they actually have 1 answer to Citadel. Well, I guess they have Oko. 1 answer to Citadel on my turn. I guess we just don't need a Blightsteel in this matchup. Kind of weird build. 2 Okos. Yeah, they actually have more answers to Blightsteel than Citadel. And then maybe Snapcaster Mage. I have some. Snapcaster Mage is still pretty good, even with Deathrite Shaman. Also blocks, oof. Maybe just top. Could just go with probe. Kind of difficult choice. All right, this is an interesting build from my opponent. On the play, oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah, keep. That is a hand. That is an absolute hand. I also get to just look at their hand. Force of Will. Oh, Force of Will is pretty good against my hand. They also have turn 1 library. Okay, so now I can play the Ancestral again on my next turn. I'll just make them force. Yep. All right, then I'm gonna play this Mana Crypt out, so we're using our mana the most efficiently way we can. I'm gonna hold the Underground Sea so that I don't get wastelanded. They are going to go fetch land, Emerald, Library. Fetch land, Emerald, Library. I have no counterplay, but then we get to go to our turn and draw 4. Brainstorm's not super good here. So, Underground Sea, Yogwill. We didn't see any Mind Break traps, right? No Mind Break traps. Probe you. Armagoyf. Draw. Hope we draw an Opal. Opal? Sapphire, sure. We are 2 black sources away from this Citadel. We also are not taking Mana Crypt flips yet. Oh, we're gonna lock ourselves with this Brainstorm? This could be a rough game because they could also just wasteland the Citadel, play a Tarmogoyf, draw a bunch of cards. I think we're supposed to brainstorm while we have a chance to win. Interesting. This wasteland is going to ruin us. This wasteland's going to ruin us. It's going to be a tough game. Fight through a library here. Maybe they'll take a bunch of damage. And I guess I'm probably supposed to just resolve this agent now. We're in a really bad spot. We're in a really bad spot. We're in a really, really bad spot. The problem is this forces them to use Wasteland. Because they went to 10? Maybe we can race them. I think they're like always going to play. Well, that's pretty good. I think they're always going to play Wasteland there. Oh, wow. They hit Mox into play to play the Tarmogoyf. And they can also Wasteland. Oh, no. It's so bad for me. Okay. All right. All right. All right. What do we do? We have Hardcast Force still. We know that our two top cards are dead. We know they have one Delta that's turned off. We could just trade these, and then that's not very good. All right, we'll just pass. This is bad. Our brainstorm, we drew 4 cards and then brainstormed, and then time walked, drew a 5th card, and then brainstormed, and none of them were good enough. Too many reactive cards. Next card's Bolas' Citadel. It's just unfortunate draws, really. They went to 6. Yeah. We have a Hardcast Force for whatever this play is that they kept. Though, if it makes the Goyf any bigger, it's a problem. Though we can always block and balance, which is pretty good. Like chump block and balance at some point. So we have options. It's going to be tough. They can't attack here either, though, and they can't fetch because we have an opposition agent. So, but we are taking a 50% chance at taking 3. Lost a flip. Drew a Citadel. Passed the turn. Pass him back. This is a crazy game. Like, really interesting game. Want to flip? Lands? Ponder? Ponder turns off my Force of Will. But this is where we're at. I see. I guess if this gets countered, it's really bad. Maybe I need to throw those cards back. Ooh. How do I... All right, I'm going to order it. Force, PO, Force. Ponder did make this go for 3-4. Yeah. All right, they had double Force. Want to flip. And yes. If I just play Soul Ring Mana Vault, then I have Hardcast Force of Will, and I don't take any damage from my Mana Crypt. That should be the play. They have no cards in hand. We go to 7. Or maybe they gain life. Don't really care. They're going to gain life. Sure. No, they're going to drain. trying to find a counter spell. I'm aware that I should not have forced the Merchant Scroll. I forgot. Okay, we got there. Yeah, I should not have forced the Merchant Scroll, but I was just trying to play fast, and I obviously made a mistake. Oh boy, yeah, that could have been bad. I shouldn't have forced the Merchant Scroll. Obviously, I can. That doesn't do anything with the agent in play. It just gives me an instant. But I could have lost there. My opponent could have top decked, I don't know, Treasure Cruise. It's probably unlikely because I bounced the library. So like they know what their second card is. But yeah, I just instinctively saw a spell and countered it. not enough not enough muscle memory with opposition agent. We'll take it. Yeah, I'm sure there was a bunch of ways we could have played that better, but I was at a minute in the clock. GG's house. I played game one atrocious as well. How many forces did you have before your ancestral resolved? I guess is my big question. I want to know. I assume you had maybe a negation. You had like a negation for the ancestral. But yeah, yeah. The end of this game in game one. Okay, you don't know. Because I played this game one super loose because I just kept jamming spells because I figured you'd be out of forces. Then you had 3 forces, and I was like, oh no, I've made a grave mistake. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh yeah. That game was gonna be very hard if you wasted me pre-combat. That is true statement. that was a rough one. I will be right back, chat. Okay. Welcome, chat, to round 5. Vintage Super still undefeated. Playing against Mad Max on Hogaak. Powerful Wizard. Let's see what we can do. That's a hand. It's certainly a hand. I'm gonna lead on Island Ancestral. Could lead on Underground Sea Night's Whisper. Our opponent is on Hogaak. I think I would rather play a basic. Well then. Pearl. Yeah, it's a tinker, right? Don't really want to force anything. Hopefully we don't get hit by any hasty Vengevines. And then Tinker Citadel. We also have the option to Demonic Fermentor, which is very good against our opponent. Verdant Go. Verdant Go. Does that mean they have vigor? They keep a vigor hand? I'm gonna go mentor. They could have double vigor, is the only thing I can really think of. They kept a 6-card hand with no Bazaar. Opened on Catacombs Go. The only thing that makes sense to me is double vigor. And now we can just let vigor happen and counter like a really strong turn if we really wanted to. Maybe we don't. Maybe there's yeah. So there's the vigor. The question is, do we care now? We obviously lose out on the ability to. I guess if they go wasteland, we care. So maybe we should just force. I think we still pitch PO though. I really do think they probably have two vigors. We still have brainstorm and force. No, I don't care. I'm just letting it happen. Just strand the second vigor. I like the way we played this so far. We'll see if it pays off though. Definitely didn't want to just run into 2 vigors there when it just doesn't feel like it'd be a keep for anything else. So we could also, on our upkeep, draw with our top. It's going to give us 2 triggers this turn. But if we don't get wastelanded, we could just Night's Whisper. So there's the wasteland. Yup. I would think about forcing a Deathray Shaman here. Or a Stitcher Supplier as well. Yeah, I'm probably going to force either of their green, their 1-drops. The question will be, are we just going to brainstorm? And the answer to that's probably yes. I don't want to activate my top drawing a card on my turn if I can help it. See if there's a second vigor. Oh, chat. That feels good. That's some big brain PO plays. We'll stretch after the match nameless. That is some big brain PO plays. We earned this one. We earned this one for sure. Just played around it. It was the only thing that made sense. We had to play around it. It's a crop rot. We force it. And then we activate our top on our turn. Oh! Let's go! That was so... Oh, that felt good. It's a correct demonic tutor. You want to go Tinker there, but can't beat Double Vigor. And it just felt like a Double Vigor hand. It's a good thing that Hogaak also can't beat Mentor, so... Okay, that was nice. I learned I learned Canister. The monkey can learn. All right. So my opponent's bringing in 3 Deafening Silences, possibly Swords to Plowshares, Assassin's Trophies, maybe Mindbreak Traps and Serenities. A lot of good cards against us. Interesting they're on a Crop Rot today. This is the 10-card sideboard plan. Bluster, Remora, Night's Whisper, Narset on the draw, Hurkyl's Recall, Citadel. How am I cutting more cards than this? Insult past Justin. Citadel, Remora, Probe, Opal, Top. Well, they're not playing oofs in this version. So that's not as necessary. Opal is fine. Blusters and a PO. PO, Opal. I guess we can just go PO Opal Top. I think that's okay. All right, let's battle. Thanks, no props. I appreciate that. I expect nothing less, but Max is a very good Hogaak pilot. This is a true statement. This hand's reasonable. Pretty okay with this. This guy, yeah, that is how Magic Online works, Kiki. That is how Magic Online works. This hand's quite weak to a strong hollow one start. But a lot of the times they're gonna keep like, how do I say it? Savannah Deafening Silence, right? And this hand's very good against Savannah Deafening Silence. Also decent against a slow graveyard start with the Tormod's Crypt. So I'm pretty happy with this hand. Nope, it was a bizarre start on 6. Hoping for minimal hollow ones, please. Bloodgast, Rootwalla, Hogaak. No follow. Okay. I guess I should use a fetch land for a basic in case I end up Yogwelling somehow. If I draw Academy and Balance, is it good? I can't crack until next turn. I don't think... Don't think so. I don't think so. I'm gonna go Crypt first to play around Trap. And I actually don't want to play these into Vigor. I guess I could play one into Vigor. It's tough to play around both Force of Vigor and Mindbreak Trap. Guess I'm gonna wait on these. No need to Crypt yet. I might have to Crypt if they just play this gas, though. As unfortunate as that is. No, because my opponent's a Deafening Silence deck. I can't really afford to be misstepping a Rootwalla. I definitely regret not cracking for a basic on turn 1 to make my Yogwill better. But as long as I don't have to Yogwill on my next turn, it shouldn't matter. 2 Ghasts and a Loam. Oh, they hit Fetch Land. That's so good. Still can hit the Loam and the Hogaak. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good play from my opponent, for sure. Okay, so I have the Deafening Silence covered, which is good. So we might end up Yogwilling this turn, so we lose out on land value. Unfortunate. Deafening Silence, I assume, follow up. Ugh. All right, I think I can assume that they would, if they had a Deafening Silence, they would play it here. Kind of misstep this. It's gonna let them get to a Hogaak again on the next turn. I don't really want to happen. Maybe I'm allowed to let it resolve because my plan is to Yogwill, but I could also get trapped here. So yeah, I lose out on my 1 land, which is unfortunate. But I can go Island, Jet, Yogwill. Island, Jet. Yogwill. Which would I rather get Mindbreak trapped? Tormod's Crypt or Ponder? Tormod's Crypt, I think. Okay, they didn't have it. Ponder. Whoo, boy. Those are not playable. My 2 Ponders have been shuffle. Yeah. Okay. They could still have Vigor as well. Kind of feels like they do, huh? Nope. Okay. 2 cards at hand. No need to activate an upkeep. Up to 5. Down to 2. Shouldn't be able to get enough for Hogaak right away, which is good. If they just slam a Deafening Silence, we got outplayed for sure. Could easily find one as well. We have a lot of good top decks. Tinker's okay. Ancestral and PO also good. PO is a little awkward because we have to use it on their turn, very likely, depending on how they play this turn out. Am I winning? We won game 1. It pitched Force of Vigor Vengevine, so it's possible that they had a Force of Vigor last turn and chose not to use it. Would be interesting. Oh, they're just going to cast a Hogaak from their hand. I would have had to hit exactly 1 Stitcher Supplier to hit that off of Crypt. That's kind of a big ask. All right, well, we're good to go here. If we draw PO, Tinker, Ancestral, anything like that, we're good to go. And we don't die on this swing currently. So, what do we got? That's a good one. Do I want a force or a fetch? Force, and then I'm going to crack this Crypt right away. They could have swords. They have swords. They have swords. Unfortunate. I don't think I'm supposed to hold the Mentor until I have a blue card. Maybe I am. I could see it. That's okay. I don't have any more white cards in my deck. Repeal. Sure. They make no play. I'm probably going to repeal Sapphire. Still just looking for Tinker. Push. Not fantastic. Preordain. Yeah. Preordain. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the underground C in case something goes bad, like a strip mine. Maybe I'm not because they could have a second swords. Maybe I'm supposed to bottom the underground C until I have force of will back up. Am I gonna really get my Blightsteel swords to plowshare here? Oh, they have vigor. Well, that's a good timing for vigor. Okay. I'm playing Underground Sea and holding up push in case they hit like Root Walla, and then they can play a Hogaak using Dryad Arbor. Squee? That's good tech. It's good sideboard tech. They drew the strip mine too. Oh no. Come on, how about a mana crypt? How about a mana crypt? This is bad. This is very bad. They had the exact right answers. They did have a Swords of Plowshares near the top as well. This is bad. Hogaak. Hollow one. No, I kind of need this Tinker to win. No, I need this Tinker to win. I hate everything. All right, I guess we're going to go to game 3. I thought we had this game, but last two cards being green card Force of Vigor into Strip Mine into Squee was a little bit too much to deal with. Brutal. So many swords to Plowshares. It's tough because I want to bring in Blightsteel, but they have so many swords. Now they can cast a Hogaak using the Dryad Arbor. It's still in their deck. It is. So the thing that I could have done in this game is I could have not cast Mentor. I could have chosen not to cast Mentor. And waited for a blue card to back it up. That was the choice that I could have changed, really. I think everything else was good. Yeah, that's... I guess I can draw Ancestral, so... I guess I probably need to play this. Oh, well. I guess I don't need to bring these pushes in. I might put both of my targets in from now on. I'm gonna change up my configuration based on what they're doing. I think I was going to draw a blue card before they drew a wasteland, right? Did they waste my Tundra on the very next turn? Then what's a guy to do? I'm not playing around another Vigor though. Like I'm not playing around their remaining 2 cards being a 3rd Vigor and a green card. All right, I'm going to bring back this in, and I'm going to take out push, and I'm going to bring Narset on the play. Yeah, let's do that. I could have, but I also need to find something that does something. If I'm not casting Preordain, I'm not advancing my game plan while they continually filter their hand with Bazaars. So it's a choice I could have made, but I don't think it would be correct. All right, game 3. That game was rough because they basically played Bizarre Control against us. They just had enough answers to our threats. They had a Swords for the Mentor. They had multiple. They had Wasteland, Strip Mine, and they had Vigor for our 2 Moxen before we tinkered. So a problem is though, if they had not Vigored, they would have actually activated Bizarre and found Swords to Plowshares for Blightsteel. So either way, they had it covered, which is interesting. Sure, I could have held one of the Moxen in my hand, is what you're saying. I guess that's fair. That's fair. This is a good hand versus Dredge, but I don't particularly think this is a great hand versus Hogaak. If my opponent just goes Scrubland, Deafening Silence, this hand looks very silly. I want to throw this one back. Yeah, I want to throw this one back. I have much better hands I can hit that involve Tinker. I would keep this hand versus Squee deck, like the true Squee decks, and I would keep it versus Dredge. But against Hogaak, this is a trap. Tabernacle is not great against Hogaak. It's okay. They basically have to have only a Bizarre hand. I'm gonna mulligan it. Oh boy. I have a cycle. I just think it's probably too greedy. Well, let's see. If I go Mana Crypt Cycle and I miss, then on my next turn, I can still Tinker beating Trap. if I draw a land in my top 2, or I can beat Vigor. Vigor is not a problem with this hand. I can definitely beat Vigor. I think it's a mulligan. Because the first hand doesn't do anything, and my opponent does not have to play a bizarre game. I'm gonna mulligan this. Okay, this is fine. Bottom. Done. And we're supposed to play a top on turn 1. Yeah, I want to play a top on turn 1. This is why you cannot play the all removal game. All like graveyard hate game. That's such a good draw. Alright, so I can't spin here because I need to play around Vigor with my repeal. The best draw was probably Lotus, just going Lotus, Tinker, put a Blightsteel, hope it works, but this draw is pretty good as well. No, I understand. I understand what you're thinking, Toaster, but I can assure you that against the way my opponent's deck plays, my first hand lines up poorly against every draw they have, except for an incredibly aggro bizarre draw. And you can't like they could even in an incredibly aggro bizarre draw, they can just have double hollow one, which that hand I guess they can play around it with Moxen or lands or Wasteland. They don't have to activate and put hollow ones into play on turn 1. My opponent's deck is a really versatile deck that can play a couple different game plans, and directly attacking just their graveyard is not good enough. It's not like this is Dredge. That first hand I would have snapkept versus Dredge. I would have snapcast it versus Squee. So they have Vengevine, Rootwalla, Squee. It's a really good one. Okay, they didn't get to return the Vengevine. This is good. So what I want to do here is just find a mana source so I can play my Soul Guide Lantern. Perfect. That's a mana source, though the follow-up draws are not ideal. I just want to hit this Squee. Just need to find a little bit more. So we're still covered here. Unfortunately, we're probably going to end up drawing this Citadel at some point, unless we can find some time to spin it down deeper. I have protection from this Vengevine. This game is likely going to be I resolve Tinker, and we find out if opponent has a Swords to Plowshares. I would think that's how this game is going to go. Okay. So we know that our top two cards are Repeal, Citadel. We think that opponent may have a Vigor in hand. Hopefully we can go to the end step here, spin, and then the third card down is a Moxen. Dryad, Loam, go. Okay. No need to activate Lantern yet. Hopefully just spinning into mana. Okay. Spin. That is mana. Now we're on, do they have Swords to Plowshares? It's more likely that they have a Citadel, they have Vigor than Swords to Plowshares, so I could technically go for Citadel and have a spin if there's a force on my top three cards. But I would rather go with the Blightsteel line. Looks like they have it. Blind draw, force, or misstep? They have Vigor too. They might have both. They have both. Well, shit. Okay. I can still draw the cards that I just said. That's not a bad card. You kind of need to draw a Lotus for it to be good. Well, they could have Mind Break Trap, right? We cannot play around Mind Break. That's not something we actually can do. I kind of want them to just pitch 3 cards, play their last card, and we just go for the win. So I have to hit this now so that I don't get Hogaaked. All right, we got it. Let's do it. Whee! Wow, this is just gonna be insane. Yeah, it was a good top spin. I have 30 life and an active top. As long as I had boarded in Citadel, I would always win here. And we didn't have Citadel. Wait, do we have Citadel? We do have Citadel. We didn't have Citadel in game 2. So we got a little lucky there. That's game. How did we win that game? We're kind of hot today. Like we've drawn well. We've drawn very well, but we've also played a lot better than normal. If I were to guess. Welcome Twitch chat, YouTube, to round 6 of the Vintage Super PTQ. Still haven't dropped one yet, though it's been real close. Definitely gonna keep this hand versus any variety of decks. So let's just keep and see what happens. Ancient Tomb, that's interesting. Ancient Tomb Thorn. Pretty good against me. Luckily, we have a basic island to play here, and we can just put this opal in. And then next turn, we can play Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Mentor, if I do the math correctly. Mana Vault of their own. We have a follow-up sphere, Ghost Quarter. It's a good one. But I have 3 islands. Sparkles is another good one. Let's see. If I go fetch and I get Non-basic, I play a soul ring. I use 2 to play a mana vault. And then I use my mana vault to play my mentor, and I have a mentor in play. Seems good. Don't want to fetch another basic because don't want their ghost core to be turned on. This turns on wasteland, so maybe it's worse. But I also want to be able to play my black spells. Wonder if they have mental misstep in their deck. If they have mental misstep, it is actually probably better to fetch an island. Kind of an interesting spot. I'm gonna get an underground sea. Ring. Vault. Monastery Mentor. Then we have 4 mana on our next turn. We're off to the races. They shouldn't play Ballista in their 60. Ghost Quarter signifies Golos stacks. So there may be a Ballista in their sideboard for Karn, but there shouldn't be a Ballista in their 60. We play a Golos here. Pretty good. As a Wasteland. Unfortunate, but they tapped it to play a Chalice on 1. Don't care much about that. What do I want to do? I have a lot of choices. I could just bounce this Mana Vault. Kind of really strong. I could also just PO. I kind of like bounce Mana Vault here. Circles ourselves is not bad. But we can just Hercules them at the end of the end of the turn and then go for a PO. Bouncing Mana Vault means they can't replay it due to the Chalice. Or they can replay it, but it would be bad. Like they're pretty far off from wanting to use this Wasteland, so I think it's fairly likely that at the end of turn we can go Hercules Recall and then PO and win. No, I mean their Mana Vault, not our Mana Vaults. Ooh, unluck, geeky, unluck. I think they're also in the chat, Nathan, so good luck. Have fun. Bajuka Bog, you got it. Yep, they didn't Wasteland, and now I have my 1 main deck Hercules because I believe in always killing shops. And now the game is over. Always respect shops, and you will be rewarded. Blightsteel. Hercules Recall. Sometimes Fatal Push, depending on which list they're on. And then Remora out on the draw. Fluster out. Misstep out. I mean, you gotta run hot to win tournaments. True story. Question mark on Fatal Pushes. That's the question mark. That is the question mark. At least 1 for a probe. And then the second one for a whisper. That looks good. Bringing in 3 recalls, 2 pushes for snakes and revokers, and a Blightsteel as the optimal way to tinker and win. I like it. Let's do it. That's a no-go. This hand's not good enough. I would consider it if this was a off-color Moxen. Maybe I can consider it because I can force pitching Brainstorm, and then I can preordain off of a basic island. Also have a blind draw. It's a little on the risky side for 7s, but I don't hate it. I'm gonna keep it. Oh, that's bad. I wonder if I force this. Why would they show me Inventor's Fair? Is it a missequencing? Is it their best land? Why would they show me Inventor's Fair? Has to be a missequencing. The problem with letting a Lotus resolve in this situation is that they have 2 must counter spells, say Null Rod into Sphere. I'm screwed. But they've already played this, so the only way they can play a spell this turn is if they also have a Mox follow-up. Now, this could be Mox, Lotus, Fair, Golos. It's aggressive, but I think it's correct. No follow. Beautiful. Not exactly a beautiful draw. Oh no, this is not good. This has got to be bottom. Got to be bottom. Okay, that's good draw. It's good draw. Oh no, I should play an Opal out. I F6 too early. Oh, they had only Inventor's Fairs. Okay, that makes sense. So that force was pretty good. Nice job, Justin. And then they drew a jet, and they're locked under their own sphere. Can't say I hate it. Man, I think that force was just big brain again. I think the force was just big brain. They should not have showed me this Inventor's Fair before casting Lotus. If they had shown me no land, I can never counter Lotus with force there. But because they showed me Inventor's Fair before casting Lotus, I was able to make that read. So I could just demonic right now. Or I could go vault. I could go vault and don't play an Underground Sea. Yeah, I think I like that the most. Well, if I play an Underground Sea, I can actually end of turn recall. No, I don't want to ever do that because I don't want to tap my vault. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go vault, pass. I will have 6 mana on the next turn. I can go Hurkyl's Demonic Ancestral. Yeah, if you're on the play as shops, you should never play your land before you play your spells like that. Because me not knowing what land you have is very important to if I'm going to counter the spells that you're casting. So on the play, when I can't daze you, you should definitely not show. I've hit an Ancient Tomb. That's a really good top deck. So now they can play another Sphere. They could play a Crucible. They could play a Phyrexian Revoker on Mana Vault. This is a great top deck for them. I chose not to play my land to play around a possible wasteland. All right, if I can find a Moxen here, I should be able to go Underground Sea. I can go under. If I find a Moxen here, I go Underground Sea, Hercules Recall, Moxen, Demonic Tinker. Fucking go. It does play into. Oh yeah, it does play into Trap, obviously, but I'm gonna go Blightsteel. Maybe I can go Citadel. Maybe I can go Citadel. Well, Blightsteel only loses to Ensnaring Bridge. Citadel or Colossus. Yeah. I know the Loriwa, the really good Golos stacks player, brings in Bridge. They could also just go like land Golos and it buys them a turn. But if I brick here and they Null Rod plus Fear Me, it's too bad. So I think we just put a Blightsteel and hope it works out. So the way that my opponent can beat a Blightsteel is by putting an Ensnaring Bridge into play. My opponent's playing a Prison Mud deck. I guess they technically could also have things like Phyrexian Metamorph in their deck. That's also a way that they could get it. Let's go! I love playing against shops. Love it. That is all the vintage I could fit into one video. If you are interested to see how the Super PTQ finished, make sure you check out the next video in the playlist. I'll put links like up in the right and down and below, and make sure you check out part 2 of the vintage Super PTQ event.